much. Let's get some more on all of these dramatic developments. Republican Congressman Mike Turner of Ohio is joining us. He's a key member of both the Intelligence and Armed Services Committees. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. And let me get your reaction to Michael Cohen's surprise plea agreement that was announced today. How significant is this development, do you believe, for the overall Russia probe?
Well, first off, as you and I have discussed before, Wolf, I support the special counsel's investigation. It's very important for us to get to the bottom of Russian meddling in the election. I think today's event certainly underscore to everyone the importance of being truthful to Congress on a bipartisan basis. I think everyone is very pleased to find people being prosecuted for lying to Congress. I think there are many instances that need to be reviewed throughout all of these testimonies that we've had in this investigation for that. But one thing I think it's interesting when you look at the investigation is about Russian meddling, but the guilty plea today is not about the election and meddling in the election. Excuse me. In fact, the statement that Cohen made to Congress, that he pled guilty in having made false statements today, included a statement by him that he was not involved in collusion with the Russian Federation with respect to hacking anyone. Now, that was not included in his guilty plea today. That doesn't mean it's not going to be in the future, but it's certainly notable because the Mueller investigation is not about a failed real estate deal. It's about Russian meddling in the election and if there was collusion and collaboration. And still today, we have no American who's been charged with that as the Mueller investigation moves forward. We'll have to wait and see whether or not that does come forward.
Well, the investigation also includes Russian meddling, Russian influence in the election. That's what Mueller, among other things, is investigating, as well as to see if any U.S. laws were violated. Do you believe, Congressman, that Michael Cohen, when he testified before your committee last year, the House Intelligence Committee, did you have any reason to believe at that time that he was lying to you and your colleagues?
Well, I think that there were a number of times throughout all the testimonies, from whether it be Clapper and Comey himself, where there were inconsistencies in statements. And I think it's one of the reasons why the committee's moved to have all of these transcripts made public, because obviously Congress doesn't prosecute crimes, and lying to Congress is a crime. And I think that they should be reviewed by the special counsel, and people should be held accountable. Now, I can tell you this, having looked at the transcript again, the 70 hours that he spent before the Mueller investigation, he's a guy who winds around a lot for answers, so I wouldn't expect that all 70 hours were fruitful.
If Michael Cohen is telling the truth now, and as you know, Mueller and his team, they've said in court that they believe he is telling the truth now, and the president lied to the American people about various deals that were ongoing with the Russians, would that be a problem for you?
Well, I think we're going to have to take a at comparing those two, but I think certainly everybody looks to the President of the United States to be truthful to the American people, and that's a concern at all times.
Because the president says Cohen is lying right now. Do you have any reason to doubt the special counsel's claim that Cohen is now finally telling the truth?
Well, I don't know that Cohen's telling the truth about everything, and I think it's certainly we're going to have to wait to see how this evolves. Again, what's notable is that the guilty plea today did not involve collusion or collaboration with Russia with respect to the investigation. We don't know whether or not that's coming or not, but still, here we are, 2 years into this investigation, not one American that has been alleged by the Mueller investigation to have been part of collusion or collaboration with Russia in its meddling with the election.
Rudy Giuliani says the president's written responses to Mueller are consistent with what Cohen said about the Moscow deal. The other day, he handed over those written responses to Mueller and the special counsel's team. But the president himself today says Cohen is lying about all of this. How can both be true?
Well, I'm not going to respond to what the president said. You'll have to ask him those questions. But I can say this. Now, I think this underscores the importance of the Mueller investigation and why the Intelligence Committee and the House handed this, their portions of the investigation over, saying we've concluded all we can do. And now with the tools that they have, the mandate that they have, it's important for them to get answers for the American people.
Because, as you know, Michael Cohen, he said in federal court today, he lied before your committee, before the Senate committee, specifically to protect the president and to be consistent with what the president was saying. And so that's a pretty significant charge.
Well, again, it's down to Michael Cohen's statements, and I'm not going to take his statements as truthful other than his guilty plea itself. I think the Mueller investigation knows what information they have and they're getting to the facts and will give us an understanding of what has happened and occurred, and that's what looking for, and I think that's what the American people are looking for.
The Senate Intelligence Committee now says they want to bring Cohen back for more questioning. Should your committee, the House Intelligence Committee, do the same?
Well, I think it's certainly an opportunity to do that. I mean, there are additional questions to ask him about, did he lie in what he said to us before? That's certainly important to know because his testimony before us was under oath. And he's not today being prosecuted for committing perjury. He's being prosecuted for his guilty plea for lying to Congress. The testimony that he gave before us was under oath. There are perhaps other statements that he made that are untrue. And if they are, then certainly they should be brought forward also, and he should be held accountable.
Given all the late-breaking developments we're seeing now in the Russia probe, do you believe Republicans, the leadership of your House Intelligence Committee, shut down your committee's investigation prematurely?
Absolutely not. I was involved in the hearings and in reviewing the transcripts, and I can tell you that we had gotten to the point where either we were going to be interfering with the Mueller investigation, special counsel investigation, or we were getting redundant information. I think the special counsel is where this investigation should be. They have tools and information that clearly will get to the truth and the answer. It had gotten to the point in the Intelligence Committee that was all about who could run to the cameras first and make statements about Donald Trump's interference in the Russian investigation or Donald Trump's interference with the election with Russians, all of which were not shown as having any basis in the testimony we were receiving. And we thought it was best that the Mueller investigation get to the facts, get an answer for the American public. And that's what needs to happen here.
Well, when the Democrats, after January 3rd, are the majority in the House of Representatives, Adam Schiff is the chairman of your committee, you know they're going to reopen this whole thing. You're going to be in the minority then, but there's going to be a whole bunch of hearings, I suspect, and a bunch of subpoenas as well. Finally, before I let you go, Congressman, as you know, the president's right now on his way to the G20 summit. Argentina. He was scheduled, I should say, to meet with Russian President Putin, but the president today abruptly canceled that meeting, at least for now, citing Russia's recent aggression against Ukraine. Do you buy that explanation?
I think it's incredibly important that on the basis of what Russia has done to Ukraine, that the president not meet with Vladimir Putin. The president has held the sanctions against Russia for their invasion of Ukraine and their annexation of Crimea. He's increased sanctions as a result of the chemical agent that was used in London. He has armed the Ukraine, which was not done under the previous administration, to aid them in their defense. Vladimir Putin has continued to increase the aggression here. Interfering with Ukrainian access to the Black Sea cannot be permitted. This is obviously an escalation, and I think the president's response was appropriate.
And as you know, the president is accusing all these individuals who have been investigated now by Mueller and his team of being liars. Do you believe the president when he says all these individuals are now lying?
The president's used that term for a lot of people, so I wouldn't use a broad brush for the president of the United States saying that. But I would say this. I have, and I think everyone on both sides of the aisle have been very displeased, both from the Obama administration and the Trump gang and associates in this investigation, feeling that we were not receiving full disclosure or the correct information, that people were misleading Congress and lying to Congress. I certainly see that today. I think certainly there are inconsistencies, even in Comey and Clapper's testimony, that need to be pursued. So I think there's certainly a bunch of displeasure to go around with respect to the information that the committee received.
You think the president's telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
That's really not for me to say. I think what we're here to talk about is this investigation, and I think the special counsel is going to get to what is the truth, and then we'll be able to have.
Well, he's the president of the United States. He's the leader of the Republican Party, and you're telling me you're unable to say whether you believe the president is telling the truth?
This is what I believe, Wolf, which is what I've said. I believe that this special counsel investigation is incredibly important because we're going to get an understanding of what happened. We're going to get an understanding of the facts, and then from that, we're going to understand what Russia's actions occurred, whether or not there was collusion or collaboration, and that's going to be incredibly important to us, the American people, and preserving our democracy.
Congressman Turner, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.